How's it going, guys? It's Pride here, back with part 6 of What If the Earthlings Were Strong. Last time we left off with Tien passing the trials of the Triclops, which allowed Tien to better familiarize himself with the Triclops' ways of fighting and learn their unique techniques, including one secret technique called spirit domination. Because of this, Tien is essentially a whole different man. Not only has he learned more fighting styles and have mastered them, but he's also grown far more powerful. Thanks to this, he has now been granted an audience with the Trigon Council. However, upon his arrival, Hit, the legendary assassin, arrived proclaiming he'll assassinate the council themselves. Tien will not just allow this to happen right before his eyes, especially if the Trigon Council doesn't actually deserve to die, which means that Tien will have no choice but to step in and get in Hit's way. So, without further ado, let's see how this fight will go between the resolve of the assassin and the spirit of the warrior. Tien is still frozen, though he can hear and see. He cannot move. This leads Tien to assume that he's under the effect of time stop, but for some reason, it's not fully affecting him. At this moment, Hit walks past Tien, not even sparing him a second glance. And Hit goes on to talk to the Trigon Council. It took a while to get here, but my informant was right. At some point, there will be an opening. Now, if my informant is still correct, I presume that you won't fight back. The Trigon Council responds, due to the pact that we have made, you cannot stop what you are doing. It's up to our warriors to protect this place. It seems that you have planned around that, making it so that they won't even know that you're here. Tell us, who is your informant? And Hit responds with, well, my informant did know that you will ask this question, and I'm permitted to tell you just this. Your suspicions are correct. Now die. It is at this moment that Tien has heard enough. He has decided to interfere. Not only does the Trigon Council seemingly can't defend themselves due to some agreement or pact that they've already made, but as far as Tien can tell, especially because he hasn't talked to them yet, he doesn't think they're deserving of their death. So he's going to forcefully break out of the time skip. He knows that this can be done. He has heard about the fights with Goku and seen the fights with Jiren. So Tien decides to power up all the way, and not only that, he decides to go to Kaioken times 20 just for the extra measure to make sure that he can break out. And it is at that moment where, before Hit can go to the first member of the Trigon Council, Tien instant transmissions in front of Hit and stops the incoming blow, surprising Hit and making Hit retreat back a couple of steps and deactivate his time stop altogether. Hit says, this is a miscalculation on my part. I assumed you would be too weak to break out, considering your performance during the Tournament of Power not too long ago. And Tien responds, as you can see, I've grown a bit. Now, suppose there's no way to call off the assassination. And Hit tells them there's not. And Tien responds with, well, I can't really allow you to kill the leaders of an entire race of people. My people, especially after they helped me become this strong, and before I talked to the leaders myself. So I guess that only leaves one option, which leads to the Trigon Council saying, it seems that we have a warrior to fight for us. If it is alright with you two, I shall send you to a more appropriate place to have your battle, so you can have all the space that you like, and it is also so that way your fight doesn't endanger our people. Do not be alarmed, assassin Hit, for you have our word that whoever is the victor shall be returned here, and our fate shall then be decided. Hit says, he said that this might happen. Fine then. We shall go to this place, and I'll finish this fight quickly. I do have a schedule to keep. And with that, they get teleported away, and they arrive in a place that Tien is very much familiar with, a room of spirit and time, where the space is infinite, and there is no one else to get in the way. The perfect battleground. Hit then looks at Tien and says, I can tell that you have grown. However, you're not the only one that has gone stronger since then. And I'll make this battle quick. Are you ready? Tien says, I'm always ready. And with that, the fight commences. But nothing happens for the first few moments. They're just staring at each other. Tien with his forearms out and a fighting stance, prepared for whatever's about to happen. And Hit looking calmly at Tien with his hands in his pockets, and stays like that for another moment. And then Hit disappears and reappears right in front of Tien with a punch already launched. However, surprising to Hit, Tien has caught the punch with one of his arms, seemingly knowing where the punch was going to land. Hit, however, doesn't relent. He keeps using his time skip ability to try to catch Tien off guard and hit him in one of the vitals, always disappearing and reappearing in a completely different location and a completely different angle. At this point, they are flying, and every time that Hit uses the time skip ability, Tien seemingly able to block every incoming blow. This exchange keeps happening for a few more moments, and during it, Hit remarks that Tien must have been watching closely of his fights during the Tournament of Power to be able to block this well. Not only that, even though this is the first time fighting, it seems like Tien is blocking better than when Goku first fought Hit, leaving Hit to have two conclusions, as he says, the way you block reminds me of Son Goku when we first fought, except you seem to be more aware of where the assassin would strike next. This leads me to think that you have practiced with this yourself, and you have taught your ways to Son Goku. It's helped him out during our first fight. And if you didn't teach Goku, maybe you tried to assassinate him yourself. He has learned from that experience. And Tien, amongst all the blocking and the relentless assault that Hit is giving Tien responds evenly that yeah, you're pretty spot on. I did try to assassinate Goku once upon a time, but that was a long time ago. I no longer practice those arts, but it's not that hard to guess where you're going to strike next, like right here. And then Tien, no longer on the defensive, decides to counterattack once Hit misses with another time skip punch. Tien uses both of his arms to grab a hold of Hit's arms. Then while utilizing his extra 2 arms, he decides to go for a combo, and the first 2 blows land solidly, as it catches Hit off guard a little bit and does decent damage. That's when Hit decides to get serious, as he takes it up another gear, as Hit turns ethereal for the next oncoming blows and faces through Tien. Hit is now using another one of his abilities, ability that allows him to go into his own little time space but keeps an image of his body still on the outside, though it can't be interacted with. And he, while utilizing this ability, can't interact with others either. Using this moment to break free of Tien's counterattack, Hit then deactivates this ability, allowing him to attack Tien successfully, striking for one of Tien's vitals, aiming for the heart, trying to instant kill Tien right here and now. And the punch does connect. However, thanks to Tien's spirit shroud that he manifested using key materialization, the shroud reduces a lot of the damage, making the punch not lethal. Hit, now noticing this, takes up a stance, proving that he's actually taking this fight seriously. Hit now decides to use key clones, and thanks to the very wide open space that they have, he can make thousands of them, and having each one of them use time skip, so that way it can confuse Tien and Hit can attempt to whittle down Tien's armor. However, Tien is not worried, as he materializes a bow staff in his hands, and he starts swinging it back and forth. And during one of the swings, the bow staff breaks into 3 different segments with chains connecting each segment. Tien continues to swing this defensively all around him, hitting any key clone that comes too close, noticing that some of these hits are phasing through the key clones, making it very much impossible for any of them to connect. As Tien is swinging his 3-segment staff, the length is getting longer and longer with every swing. Tien is extending the chains and also the staff more and more due to his advanced key control. However, no matter how much that he extends the range and how fast he is swinging, it seems that Hit's clones are endless, and sometimes it just goes right past the clones. But Tien is not worried about this. In fact, Tien is actually cooking up a plan, and for the plan to go through, he has to take it one step further, as he yells out to the multiple hits, knowing that the real one is amongst them somewhere. He says, "You're not the only one that can make clones." And thus, Tien uses his multiform ability to make 4 more of himself, making 5 Tiens, and each one is wielding 3-segment staffs. And now they all begin to swing their weapons at the sea of clones. And it's not too long where whirlwind of just energy is almost encompassing the entire field. Now that Tien's field of range has now been increased due to the extra pairs of hands, there is no feasible way for Hit to maneuver himself even with time skip. In between all of the swings and all of the movement, Hit off in the distance, observing all of this, thinks to himself that Tien has to get tired at some point. However, Hit knows that he can't make this a game of attrition. Making all these clones, having them phase in and out of reality, and also time skipping every once in a while to avoid a strike, is also draining on Hit. And clearly, Hit is starting to realize that he is at a disadvantage, for he knows next to nothing about this Earthling from Universe 7. He knows for a fact that Tien at least knows a couple of his key moves. So, utilizing the advantage of being a great distance away and being behind complete cover of all these clones, Hit begins to gather energy in his right fist, and then he waits for an opportunity to strike. Once he sees an opening, he punches out, and a wave of energy, nigh invisible, goes through all the clones and through all of the swings until it connects with one of the Tiens, bypassing the spirit shroud and going straight through Tien and making that clone disappear. Hit is momentarily disappointed that it was the wrong one, but he's already moved from that position, making it so that way Tien can't track where that trajectory of the punch came from, and Hit begins to do the process all over again. That is, until he sees an uncommon staff descending upon his head. Tien instant transmissions right in front of Hit and whacks him with the staff, and then initiating a combo with his 3-segment staffs and his 4 fists, so that way he can inflict as much damage as possible while Hit is momentarily caught off guard. Hit has no idea what just happened, how Tien even found him in the sea of clones, and from so far away. But Hit doesn't know about Tien's abilities, especially the main ability that has been helping him during this entire fight, the ability to see one's ki at a very precise level. During this entire fight, Tien has been using his eyes to be able to tell when Hit is about to activate his time skip ability, similar to when Dispo can hear when Hit is about to activate the time skip ability. Except way better, because not only does this allow him to tell when the ability is about to be activated, it allows Tien to see when Hit comes out of the ability. So this entire fight, Tien's been able to block and dodge, mostly because he always had a way to tell right before he was about to be attacked and from where. The only downside was that he couldn't tell the difference between the key clones and Hit because they all shared the exact same energy signature. However, that was until one of them started gathering energy in their fist. Tien saw that. It was too late to intervene. But for the next attack, he saw as clear as day when Hit time skipped to a different location and started gathering energy again. Back in the present, Tien is excited that his plan worked and is feeling good about himself as he says, "I know a lot about you, but you seem not to know a lot about me. And that might be the reason I'm going to win this fight." Hit looks at Tien for a second, the clones disappearing, and Hit says, "You're right, I know nothing about you. You was insignificant before, so much so that Frost was able to get rid of you in one move. Well then, it seems I have no choice but to improve." As Hit does his time skip again, except it's even faster and shorter, giving Tien less time to react. But with Tien activating Kaioken, he's able to keep up. This exchange goes back and forth for a while, as Hit keeps on improving, shortening his time skips more and more, and Tien keeps on ramping up slowly his Kaioken, being able to keep up. Though this is slightly more draining on Tien, seeing how he has to use Kaioken and heal himself at the same time in order to not take more damage than what Hit is taking. Both of them are now constantly connecting blows, damaging each other more and more as the fight goes on. At some point, Tien starts seeing an energy gather around the core of Hit. Seems to be another time-based energy. However, Tien has no idea what this is, and using spirit domination, he tries to take a hold and try to dispel or disperse what's happening in the core, but to no avail. It seems to be too tightly controlled for Tien to be able to do anything about it. Tien doesn't know what this move is, but he has a guess, thinking back to what happened to Jiren in the Tournament of Power. So Tien starts conserving all of his energy, that way he can counterattack whatever Hit's about to do. Tien, knowing that they both have a trump card, and Hit surmising that Tien has to have something more, the fight continues to see who's going to be able to unleash their trump card first. Hit has improved a lot during this drawn out battle, but they can feel that the time is near as Hit's moves hasn't gotten any better in a while, and his time skip hasn't improved much further either. And Tien is sitting at Kaioken times 10, which is boosting all his techniques. They seem to be dead even. And that's when Tien decides to go Kaioken times 11 to tip the scales more in his favor and to try to subtly get more damage in before Hit can do anything. As Tien comes in on attack, moving faster than ever, and that's when Hit decides to activate his trump card, already calculating how fast Tien would be, using that exact moment to get in Tien's range and hitting Tien square in the chest, activating Time Prison, trapping Tien essentially in a moment of time where Tien can't move, but Hit can. At least that's what's supposed to happen. As the fist connects and the ability is activated, Tien's third eye flares up with energy as Tien activates his trump card, Spirit Domination, and ramps his Kaioken up to times 15 as Hit's own move backfires, and now Hit is frozen in time, unable to move, as it seems like Tien has complete control over this energy now, and Hit is completely confused. He didn't think this was even remotely possible, and to make the situation even worse, Tien wastes no time as he activates Neo Tribeam, and for extra measure does a double Dodon Ray with his other two arms, and sends the energy straight at Hit. Dodon Rays pierces both of his legs, while the Neo Tribeam does severe damage to the remainder of Hit's body, blasting Hit away and sending him spiraling into the ground. Hit almost looks unrecognizable as he has two giant holes in his legs and the rest of his body is completely ruined, but he is still breathing. Then, exhausted, is about to descend down, huffing and puffing, when the backlash of using Kaioken plus Spirit Domination hits him, and his third eye momentarily snaps shut. He feels a wave of pain as he also crashes to the ground, unable to stop himself. Though the wave of pain is excruciating, it's nowhere near as bad as what happened to Hit. So Tien gets up and is about to go over to Hit and see if he can call for the Trigon Council to teleport them away. That's when he realized something. Looking over at Hit, even though his eye has been shut off, he can still kind of see the key in other people's body. However, it's a blur, but in the center of Hit's being is the core of energy that he saw earlier. Tien is a little confused because he figured that that was the trump card that Hit just tried to unleash, but yet it's still there. And in fact, it's pulsating throughout Hit's entire body. More and more wounds on his body is disappearing. Tien can't even believe what he is seeing. This is insane. It doesn't even make sense. He tries to activate his third eye for the last time to get a clear detail of what's happening and maybe halt the process, but yet his eye is not listening to him. Tien is now pointing his fingers at Hit, powering up for a Dodon Ray when the last pulse of energy spreads across his body and Hit disappears, no longer in the same spot that he was at. Tien's looking around frantically, wondering what just happened. Where is he? Did he time skip? What is going on? Tien is now on guard, and using the healing technique, he tries to heal up his third eye at least a little bit, so that way he can help him out for whatever's about to happen. And that's when Tien hears a voice on the left. So, force me to use this. Tien goes to look that way, seeing nothing there. Immediately knowing that means that Hit is on the right side, tries to block all his vitals. And Tien was correct. Hit is on the right side, as Hit grabs one of the guarding arms, not even going for a vital, pulls one of the right arms out, and with a keyblade, similar to that of a long sharp dagger, slices one of Tien's forearms off. Tien screams in pain, not expecting this maneuver, not expecting any slicing attack at all, as Hit looks at the hand and chucks it away, looks back at Tien and says, I was hoping to use this move against Jiren or Son Goku, seeing how I had to use it against you. You've earned my respect, Tien Shinhan, and for that I will fight you with everything I now have. And I'll also tell you this, that move was designed for Son Goku or Jiren. It is called Time Reset, where I can choose a moment to essentially go back to and start all over again. However, it only affects me. It's essentially back to the place of activation. This essentially allows me to start from zero. There is a downside. All the progress that I've had between the activation and the release is gone, but that is fine. For it looks like I have barely broken a sweat, and you seem to be on your last legs. Well then, I suppose I should finish this now. So that way my comrade doesn't slaughter that many Triclops. Tien says, wait a minute, there's someone else here besides you? We now pan over to outside the time chamber on the actual Triclops planet, to planet Zoid, to one of the villages, where once it used to be a peaceful, beautiful place, now seems wrought with destruction, as there are craters everywhere, broken down homes, and bodies on the floor. Only 3 figures are still standing. 2 of them, Namekians, Solnel and Panera, both look extremely wounded, with countless needles sticking out of their bodies, and as a bluish purple poison-like substance spreading across both of their bodies. As Solnel says, I can't believe we're actually losing to this guy. And Panera says, only because he fights dirty, but we should have known that from the start. He has no idea what honor is. And the being they're referring to is Frost, except Frost has been through a couple of changes. He now has armor across his body. He's now taller, and his aura spreads out far and wide, overshadowing both the auras of the Namekian, as Frost says,
I didn't expect you two to be here, but this is a perfect opportunity to try my new powers and my new form. How does the pain feel? Does it sting?
And that is where we're gonna leave it, as Tien seems to be in the worst situation possible, missing an arm against a Hit that is essentially back at 100%, and Solnel and Panera fighting against Frost, of all people, who seemingly has taken another step towards an evolution of his race. What are they going to do next time? How are they going to combat this? Things are looking dire for both parties. Can they turn around, or will they be slaughtered with seemingly the rest of the Triclops people? What will prevail at the end of the day? The warrior's determination or the assassin's cunning? We'll find out in the next chapter of What If the Earthlings Were Strong. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a long time coming, I know, but we do got the next one already in the work, and thank you for your patience. I very much appreciate it. And I'll see you guys soon. So catch you later. Breeze.